Welcome back. I'm Marcie Billen, and I'm a real estate agent in Oklahoma, and I have anxiety. As a small business owner, anxiety can be incredibly debilitating. I mean, as an average human as well, but especially as a small business owner. So I have a series of things that I do in my business and my life, but I'm focusing on business in this video to help me manage my anxiety. Originally, I got into this business for the time freedom. And over the years, I've realized that a lot of that freedom comes from me being able to shut off my mind. The way my anxiety kind of presents itself is I have a lot of ruminating thoughts. And in order to shut those off, it takes a lot of practice. Ruminating thoughts just mean that I pick something, or my brain picks something to focus on, and I just think about it over and over and over again. So I saw a really great video about social anxiety for realtors. And this video is not really about that. I don't have social anxiety, or I don't struggle with it. My anxiety is more of a generalized anxiety, and the things that I feel is something I call existential dread. And I, of course, got those words from different articles that I read, but it really makes sense in terms of what I feel. So that existential dread usually feels something like this. Existential dread doesn't have anything that causes like the feeling directly. Like there's no direct cause for my dread that I feel. Usually. There are triggers, of course. So that scene from Everything Everywhere All at Once, whenever there's a montage of just thoughts going through her head or different multiverses that she's entering, whenever I saw that, I was like, man, that's exactly what my brain feels and looks like whenever I have dread. There are a lot of things outside of this list that I do in my personal life to help manage my anxiety, and that includes going to therapy, taking medication, other things like journaling, stretching. There's a lot. I've been a realtor since 2017, and I have a small team. I do work with my husband as well. We sell around 40 to 50 houses or properties per year. So these 10 items we're going to talk about are these 10 things that I do to help manage my anxiety in my business, are in no particular order. I didn't stress about that, so let's get into it. The first one is setting boundaries with work hours. People need things from me constantly, and I understand that because you're making these people that are buying properties are making huge financial investments into their future, and I want to be there for them. However, I also have to have my own life outside of that. So it's been very important that I set working hours for myself. So trust me, I don't follow these work hours all the time. I wish that I could, but it's not realistic. And if you try to do this or you are doing this, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's just really hard to follow them to a T. So my usual working hours that I set for myself are between the hours of 11 and 7 p.m. during the week, so Monday through Friday, and then 12 to 5 on Saturday. Like I said, I don't follow them exactly, but it's pretty dang close. I will tell you that the main humans that are the culprits of encroaching on my boundaries with my work hours are typically other real estate agents. Putting these working hours into place has helped me find rest outside of those. It kind of gives me permission to work on the fact that my mind needs to rest. This takes a lot of practice, and it does not come easily to me. I still work on it every single day. The second thing that I do that really helps me manage my anxiety is I unfollow realtors on Facebook. So I don't unfriend them, but I unfollow them. So why? What does that mean? Well, you've heard the saying that comparison is the thief of joy. So that's a saying for a reason. And unfollowing these realtors on Facebook has really helped me to not compare myself to them. And that makes me freak out less about the business I may or may not have. If I see other realtors taking listings or having closings, and I feel like I'm not measuring up to them, it really I can feel my blood pressure go up. I may start ruminating on those facts that I feel like I don't have enough business, and so I'll just think about them over and over and over again, and it's just really not helpful. And at the same time, whenever I am doing that, I automatically start speaking to myself negatively, and speaking to myself negatively is something that I've worked hard to not do. I want to be my own biggest cheerleader. I want to be my best friend that's sitting there saying, no, you're doing awesome. And ultimately, you're doing everything that you can do and everything you put into place. So there's no reason to compare yourself to anyone else because you're amazing. I start speaking to myself negatively, like saying that they're doing more work than me or they have more business than I do. And I've learned over the years that people aren't doing as much work as you think they're doing. So I'll unfollow all of my friends who are realtors, and that just means I have to search for them in Facebook itself. I can't see them come through my feed. I only see people I want to see because I'm in control of that part of my life. And when I'm traveling and stuff, I just delete Facebook off my phone. And I do get on Facebook while I'm traveling, but I set a time to get on it on my computer. And then one of my admins also takes care of it for me too. And I don't delete the messaging app. So if people message me, then I can still see that. Number 3 is that I have a dedicated workspace. So I have a dedicated workspace in my house. It's an entire room. It's my office. I'm shooting in it right now. All of my books are in here. I try to only do work while I'm in this space. So one of the things I figured out that really makes my anxiety go crazy is if I'm doing 2 things at once. So if I'm driving and talking on the phone to someone about something difficult, especially trying to problem solve, then I'll have a panic attack. So I try to only have those intense sessions of problem solving and talking to people while I'm in my office, in my dedicated workspace, doing one thing at a time. And that also helps create that sort of space in my head for the time periods that I'm working. So staying on track with my working hours and not working outside of those if I can help it. While I'm traveling, I set up a dedicated workspace in wherever I'm staying. So if I'm staying in a hotel room, then usually they have a desk, so I'll set up a dedicated workspace there. Or maybe I, sit on my bed and set my timer for 30 minutes and do all the work stuff that I need to do in those 30 minutes. And then I stop when that timer goes off. Timers are so helpful for creating spaces of work, because then you can create the mind space of saying okay, well, I have 30 minutes to do this, so I'm going to do it in 30 minutes. The timer really helps me set boundaries for my mind and for the space that I'm in, because it's like an interrupter. Number 4, I don't work with clients I don't get along with. Real estate is so time intensive. I spend hours with people on the phone or in my car or showing houses in person. It's a lot of time. It's super important that we get along, that our energies are compatible. So if we don't get along and I choose not to work with a person, it's not because I think they're a bad person. It's just that it's too much of a risk for me to continue to work with them. Because the risk is that I'm so drained from being with that person, from talking to them on the phone or being with them in person, that I'm so drained that I can't turn around and go get new business or work with somebody else. So I lose extra money during that time, which is not healthy for me. I don't want to do that. Working with clients I don't get along with really depletes my energy, which makes my anxiety a lot worse. Number 5 is I have bare minimums and I operate within those. Operating on bare minimums has saved my soul, I kid you not. So what does it mean to have bare minimums? So having a bare minimum means there's a certain threshold that I set for myself that I have to hit that. When I hit my bare minimum, I'm not going to make myself feel bad about stopping there. Actually, I'm going to praise myself for doing more than that. Part of my thing with bare minimums is I realized over the course of these years in real estate is that most people don't have a plan for what they need to do in a day. A lot of people do, but not most, or they don't stick to it. They set a goal in their head for the beginning of the day and they don't stick with it. And if we're comparing ourselves to people, which I don't want to do, I do a lot of work during the day. So I don't really need to compare myself to anyone else. I only need to hit the goals that I set for myself to get the things that I want, because that's literally all that matters. So let me explain a little bit more. So one of the things that I have a bare minimum on is pages read. So I read a lot, as you may be able to tell by my books over here. It's really important to me. It's one of the main ways that I learn. It's really hard for me to learn in any other way. So my bare minimum is that I have to read 10 pages a day. So 10 pages a day for me is not very much at all. And it's not even 10 pages of a business book or of a nonfiction book. I can read a romance novel, I can read a fiction book, that's fine. I just need to read 10 pages a day. That's my bare minimum. So if I do that, I can't make myself feel bad for not doing 50 or whatever. I just set my bare minimum to be very low. So in my business, the way that I do this is I set a bare minimum usually for appointments. So the bare minimum of number of appointments that I need every single month is 4 right now. That's my bare minimum right now because I need to sell like 40 houses this year. And 4 for me, because of all the work that I put in over the years, is really easy to hit. Maybe, you're thinking about a bare minimum and it would be like 1 or 2, and that's okay. It depends on what your goal is for the year. I have a bare minimum number of houses that I need to sell this year in order, to move forward. And I always set that goal for the houses to be lower than what I sold the year before. So that's a bare minimum because I know that I can hit it. I know that I can hit it easily. The reason I made it so easy is because I spent so many years in real estate making my life way too hard, and that made my anxiety go crazy. I figured out kind of slowly that it's not about always making life hard, it's about doing things consistently. So for instance, let's take the bare minimum of pages, right? So if I'm reading 10 pages a day and you do the math on all of that, and the average book is like 300 to 400, maybe 500 pages, that's a minimum of 8 to 9 books a year. Like, that's quite a few. So when I break it down like this, I feel a gigantic load just being lifted off my shoulders. Then I can start focusing on the task in front of me instead of worrying and being anxious about the future. Okay, number 6 is that I measure my KPIs. So a KPI is a key performance indicator. Measuring these KPIs helps me relax. Measuring everything is really impossible. We talk a lot about numbers in real estate and most small businesses. I mean, you really need to focus on numbers to really hit your goals. So measuring my key performance indicators, or especially my one, like I have one specific one that I always focus on. And measuring that helps me know that I am moving my business forward, that I'm not stuck. So at the beginning of my career, I measured contacts that I made each day. That was like my main key performance indicator, right? So now moving away from calling people all the time, I can still make a lot of phone calls, but I moved away from that and now I focus on more of an attraction-based lead generation system. And so that's why my key performance indicator is appointments set and appointments held. So 4 appointments a month held is what I need. And that is my key performance indicator that I have set for myself. That is how many appointments I need each month to maintain my momentum. So if I stop hitting those, if it starts going down, then I know I need to change my habits. So this mindset around measuring and knowing like when I need to change my habits, if my key performance indicator starts going down in the measurement, that kind of mindset prohibits me from making big changes all at once, which is what makes me anxious. Those kind of big changes upset my equilibrium, and it's terrible. I hate it. Number 7 is that I put a financial system in place that helps me relax. So I've made a couple of videos about this, but a few years ago, me and my husband and the rest of our team, we put in a financial system called Profit First. And it's a book by Mike McAlevitz. It's a system and it works so well. Like, it's incredible. So our business, whenever I put this into place, was operating in the red and I did not like it. It made me super stressed out. I would check my bank account going to sleep at night. Just not a good idea. And so now I don't have to do that. I know how much money I have at any given moment. We always operate in the black. It's very hard to operate in the red on this system. So if you want to know more about it, I made 2 videos. I made a couple of videos about Profit First, and you can go watch them right here. One of the main issues with managing anxiety is sleep. So if I can't sleep, then I get anxious. And so that financial system really helps me get a lot of sleep. Number 8 is systems in general. This really helps me manage my anxiety. Everything I've outlined so far is a system. Like, that's how I think of things, is in a system form. I think continuously about how I might automate parts of these systems to make my life and my business easier and thus less stressful. I have these systems kind of outlined so that I know if I can outsource a piece of it, like if I want to buy back some time by trading it for some money or something like that, or maybe I can automate it with another system like an online automation system or anything. I'm always thinking about my tasks in different ways and my systems in different ways. So I'll ask questions of these different tasks. Do I need to do the task? Like, does it actually need to be done? Do I need to do it, or can I assign it to someone else? Can I automate it? Like, these are all questions that I ask around the systems just to make sure that I'm using my time wisely and efficiently so that I get enough sleep and enough me time and enough relaxing time and enough book time. These are all important to me. The 9th thing that I have on my list is my 135. So if you're a Keller Williams agent like I am, you may have heard of a 135. It's a way that we set our goals. If you're not a Keller Williams agent, then you may not have heard of this and you might be saying, what the crap are you talking about? So 135 is like a goal outline and it's on one sheet of paper. So I usually have 3 of these for each year, and I have 3 for this year right now, and here they are. Mine's not very pretty. I do end up changing it sometimes if I need to. So the 3 that I have for this year is for financials, kind of for our personal life, for planning for the future, for our business, and then for teaching. Each week it's on my weekly reset to review these goal sheets. And then if there's something that I need to do from one of these sheets in order to move my goal forward, then I can time block it into my calendar, which we'll get to next. I schedule it in my calendar because if it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist. I check my calendar like 30 times a day. It's always up on my computer. I need to know what I'm supposed to be doing, and that helps my mind relax. And if it's something that I don't need to do and I can assign it to someone else, I'll assign it to my assistant or to my husband or hire it out. So you may be asking, what is a 135? So 135 is this, and you can see it clearly here on this page, but it has the main goal at the top and then 3 strategies underneath that goal, or 3 priorities, I mean. And then it's supposed to have 5 strategies under each priority. And I usually don't have 5 strategies under each. I make it as simple as I can. So usually 2 to 3 strategies is what I have underneath my priorities. If you want to learn more about the 135 and how I set that up, just leave a comment below and I'll make a video about it. So the last thing I have on my list, number 10, is time blocking. So if you have watched self-help videos or business videos or read self-help books or anything like that, you kind of have an understanding of what time blocking is. So time blocking is whenever I put blocks in my day, in my calendar, that have like the category for getting things done. And they may be very specific and they may be very broad. It just depends on my day and like how I'm feeling. So I usually have blocks for things like follow-up calls with clients, scripting videos, Asana tasks, which is like getting all of my to-dos done. There's a ton of stuff I could put in my calendar. I do a lot for, education, things like that. I even put in like my morning routine and my rejuvenation routine as a time block. I love doing this on the computer or, in my Google Calendar because it's easy to move the blocks around. So one thing that I do is I prioritize rest. If my body is saying I need to rest, then I will move those blocks around and get my rest. And I'm not talking necessarily about sleep. I might just sit there and do nothing just to recharge. One thing I've really learned with time blocking, because there are definitely like lots of different ones you can follow. If you're a real estate agent or another kind of business owner, you can see what people do or how they plan their days, and that's fine. Except that I know if I'm making like a ton of calls in an hour, the next time block, I can't do anything that's going to be too draining for my energy. So that's like an energy management plan. I know what I'm going to need after I expend a lot of energy on people or things. I used to get so mad at myself when I didn't follow my time blocks specifically, like if I failed at that. But then I started thinking I got into this business for time freedom, and no one is telling me that I have to spend my time this way. So I get to decide those things. It's up to me. So that's the freedom. I don't need to be a stickler for some arbitrary schedule that I set for myself. If you have other things that you do in your business and life to manage your anxiety, go ahead and drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear about them. If you want to hear more about my financial system, then I would definitely watch this video next. I'll see you next time.